Hello and welcome to this video on fractions of amounts. Example number 1. The question says, work out 1/2 of 8. Well, there are several ways you can see this question. First of all, the most straightforward way of looking at it is to think about it as being 8 divided by 2, which of course gives the answer 4. Another way you can think about it is using a diagram where you've got the full length of this bar here representing 8, as you can see at the top here, and I've split it into 2 equal parts, so I've split it into halves, and you can see that each of those halves must be 4 in order to make the original amount. So again, you can see that 1/2 of 8 is 4. Two other representations you will see of this same question are as follows down here. You will see it written as 1/2 multiplied by 8. So it's really important that you remember that this actually says 1/2 of 8. And of course, because multiplication is the same whichever way around you do it, then you can also write it like this, 8 multiplied by 1/2. And it all means exactly the same thing. It means 1/2 of 8. Example number 2. It says, work out 1/2 multiplied by 6. Now, if you remember what I've just said, 1/2 multiplied by 6 is the same as saying 1/2 of 6. So we can do it in many different ways. We can do 6 divided by 2. That's one way that we can do it, because I've just talked about that in the first example, where we did 8 divided by 2. So here we can do 6 divided by 2 and get the answer 3. We can think about it as 6 being this whole box here. And if I'm splitting it into halves, each of those boxes has got to be a number that together makes up that top value there. So 3 and 3 make 6, so you can see that 1/2 of 6 is 3 using that way as well. Example number 3, it says work out 24 multiplied by 1/2. Okay, again, we need to remember that that literally means 1/2 of 24. So we can do 24 divided by 2, which is 12. We can think about it as a full box here, where this full amount has to be 24. What goes in each of those boxes to make up that 24? Well, it's got to be 12. Example 4. Now we've got work out 1/3 of 21. So, similar to the first couple of examples, we could think about it as 21 divided by 3. Thinking about it using a diagram, we've got the full bar being 21, but it's now split into 3 equal parts, so into thirds. What number has to go into each of those boxes in order to get back to that 21? It's got to be 7, because 3 sevens make 21. So 1/3 of 21 is 7, as you can see here. And remember that this can be written as 1/3 multiplied by 21 and 21 multiplied by 1/3, but it still means the same thing. It means 1/3 of 21. Example 5. Work out 1/3 of 36. So we can think about this as 36 divided by 3, which is 12. We can think about it as a picture where the full bar is 36, and I've got to split it into 3 equal pieces. What is each one of those pieces? It's got to be 12 in order to get back to that top value there. So one of those thirds there is 12. Example number 6, work out 1/4 of 28. This time I'm going to do 28 divided by 4, which is 7. Or thinking about it as a bar, that full bar has to be 28, and if I split it into 4 equal pieces, each one of those pieces has got to be 7 in order to get back to 28 at the top. And if you think about that model there, that bar model, one of those pieces is a quarter, so 1/4 of 28 is 7. Example 7. The question in the middle says, work out 4/5 of 45. So let's have a look firstly at this diagram at the top. So if we use our bar model like we've been doing up to now, if you think about the full width of that rectangle representing 45, this time I've split it into 5 equal pieces. So before, we always split it, in the previous examples, into the number of boxes that was on the denominator. So when we were splitting it into, when we were finding half of an amount, we'd split it into 2. If we were finding a third of an amount, we'd split it into 3. If we were finding a quarter of an amount, we'd split it into 4. But now we want our answer in terms of fifths. So we're splitting this rectangle into 5 equal pieces. So I've done that, I've done 45 and I've split it into 5 equal pieces, and each of those pieces has a value of 9. But this time, I don't just want one of them, I want 4 of them. So 4/5, as you can see here, is represented by these 4 green shaded boxes. And that would be 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9, or 4 9s, which are 36. So 4/5 of 45 is 36. Another way of writing this, of course, is like this: 4/5 multiplied by 45, which is exactly the same as this calculation down here, 45 times 4/5. It all means work out 4/5 of 45. So to summarise what we've done up here with this bar model, you can think about the calculation like this: 45 divided by 5 and then multiplied by 4. That's what this calculation is showing down here. So what have we done? We've done 45 divided by whatever number's on the denominator and then multiplied by what's on the numerator. Let's look at it in the bar model. 45 split into 5 equal parts, and then I've just shaded 4 of them and added it up to give 36. So let's look at that in a different example. Example number 8, work out 2/3 of 30. So I could follow that flow diagram that we just saw, and I could do 30 divided by 3, which is 10, and then multiply it by 2, because that's my numerator, to give me 20. That's one way I could work this out. Another way is to think about this diagram being 30, and if I split 30 into 3 equal parts, of course each one of those would be 10. But I don't just want 1/3, I want 2/3, and 2 of those makes 20 as well, like we've just done here. Example 9, work out 3/4 multiplied by 32. Now, of course, you need to remember that this is exactly the same question as finding 3/4 of 32. So if you think about the bar model, 32, I've got to split it or divide it by 4, which of course is my denominator. If I divide by 4, I get 8. And then I am multiplying by 3. Why am I multiplying by 3? Because my numerator is 3. And I want 3 quarters, not just 1 quarter, so 3 quarters. 3 lots of 8, 24. So 24 is my answer. Example 10, work out 35 multiplied by 2/5. So this means literally 2/5 of 35. So think about the whole of your bar model as being 35. I've got to split it 5 equal ways, so then each part is going to be 7. And I want 2 of those fifths. So 2 of those fifths, 2 sevens are 14. So you can see here I've done 35, I've divided it by 5 to give me my 7, and then I've multiplied by 2 to give me my 2/5. Example 11. Work out 7/8 multiplied by 96, so this means 7/8 of 96. So if you think of 96 being the whole bar, and I want to split it 8 equal ways, so 96 divided by 8 is 12, so 12 goes in each box. Don't get confused that it's the 8 that goes in the box. Some students think that 8 goes in each box, but you have to do the 96 divided by 8 to give you what's in each box. And then you multiply it by the numerator. So I want not all 8 of them, I only want 7 of them. So I want this many 12s. And 7 12s are 84. Final example, example 12, work out 3/10 of 90. So 90, I'm splitting it 10 ways. So 90 divided by 10 is 9. And you'd fill in all of these boxes as 9. You get the idea, each one of them is 9, but I want 3 of them. 3 9s are 27. So, to remind you of the other way of doing the calculation, of course, is 90, using the little flow diagram, divided by 10, or divide by the denominator, and then multiply by the numerator. And you get your answer 27. So the really important rule to remember, firstly, divide by the denominator, and then multiply by the numerator. So here are some questions for you to have a go at. So pause the video now, have a go at these, and when you think you've finished, restart the video to see the answers. And here are the answers. Very well done for having a go at those.